How parents can change their child's destiny. My son's teacher called again today. 3rd time this month. The doctor just prescribed another medication. That makes 4. I found cutting marks on my daughter's arms last night. My child used to laugh all the time. Now, I can't remember the last time I heard that sound. These aren't just parenting challenges. These are the moments that break you open, that make you question everything you thought you knew about raising a child. Welcome to Moon Mind Temple. Today, we're exploring something revolutionary that ancient wisdom traditions have known for centuries, but modern parents often forget. You have the power to transform your child's life path. Not through control, not through force, but through your own internal transformation. This isn't just spiritual theory. Modern psychology increasingly confirms that children are exquisitely sensitive to the emotional environment created by their parents. They don't just respond to what we say or do, they respond to who we are at the deepest level. Research at the intersection of neuroscience, ancient wisdom traditions, and family systems has revealed remarkable insights. These approaches have transformed thousands of parent-child relationships that seemed beyond repair. Today, we're exploring a framework that has created what many parents have called miraculous shifts in their children's patterns. But first, let's address what doesn't work. More rules, more punishment, more talking, more pleading. If these approaches worked long-term, you wouldn't be watching this video. You've likely already tried everything the conventional parenting experts suggest, yet here you are, still searching. That's because the missing piece isn't another technique to use on your child. It's internal work that changes the energetic and neurological field between you and your child. Here's a framework we can call the inner transformation approach. 5 pathways that create profound change in your child by first changing something within yourself. While modern psychology offers valuable insights that support these methods, the real power lies in these timeless practices that parents have used for generations. Pathway 1. Heal yourself. Help your child. Your child mirrors what they see in you, not just your behaviors, but your inner emotional states. Modern psychology has observed this as emotional contagion, while ancient wisdom traditions have always known that children absorb the unspoken energy of their parents. When you and your child are together, you create a shared emotional field. Your hidden stress becomes their visible stress. Your unprocessed pain shows up in their actions and reactions. Consider Jamie's story. Her 6-year-old son developed extreme separation anxiety. He couldn't let her out of his sight without panic attacks. She tried everything: gradual separation techniques, therapy, even medication. Nothing worked. Then Jamie discovered something transformative. Her father had left suddenly when she was 7, and she'd never fully processed that loss. Though she wasn't consciously anxious about abandonment, she realized this unresolved pattern was manifesting in her son's behavior. Jamie committed to a 30-day transformation practice. Every morning, she spent 10 minutes doing specific breath work while visualizing security and safety. Throughout the day, whenever she felt anxious, she used simple physical movements to shift her emotional state. Most importantly, she began processing her childhood abandonment through journaling. She wrote letters to her younger self, expressing the comfort and reassurance she never received. She did all this without ever mentioning it to her son or changing her external parenting approaches. The results were remarkable. Within 3 weeks, her son's separation anxiety had decreased dramatically. By day 40, he was confidently separating with barely a backward glance. This wasn't coincidence. This was the mirror effect in action. By transforming her own inner landscape, Jamie changed what her son had available to mirror, naturally allowing his anxiety to dissolve. Your child's challenges often reflect something unhealed within yourself. This isn't about blame. It's about empowerment. When you change, they can change too. Your first step: identify your child's most persistent challenge. Then ask, Where does this same pattern exist in my own nervous system? The answer may not be obvious immediately. Sit with it, journal about it. The connection will reveal itself. Pathway 2. Transform your home's energy. The environment your child grows in isn't just physical, it's energetic and emotional. Every family creates an invisible atmosphere that shapes how everyone feels and behaves. Zen Buddhism refers to this as Ba, the field of energy created by our awareness and intentions. Psychology might call it the emotional climate of the home. Let's look at Miguel's family. His 14-year-old daughter had become increasingly withdrawn, her grades plummeting, her former enthusiasm for life completely gone. The family home had become a place of constant tension, everyone walking on eggshells, communication reduced to practical necessities. Miguel discovered the power of intentional space creation. He and his wife began a simple practice of releasing tension from their bodies through gentle stretching and deep breathing for just 5 minutes before entering shared family spaces. They created small moments of complete presence throughout the day, just 30 seconds of making eye contact while listening fully, just 20 seconds of physical touch without agenda, just 15 seconds of genuine appreciation expressed specifically. Most powerfully, they transformed their home environment. They reduced harsh lighting, introduced periods of quiet, and created a cozy corner with soft textures and gentle scents. A sanctuary anyone could retreat to when overwhelmed. Within a month, their daughter began emerging from her room more frequently. Within 2 months, she initiated conversation at dinner for the first time in a year. At 3 months, her grades began improving, and Miguel witnessed something he hadn't seen in years. She laughed spontaneously. The family never directly addressed her withdrawal or pushed her to change. They simply transformed the space she was existing within, and that transformation created new possibilities. Your action step: implement threshold mindfulness. A brief pause to reset your nervous system before entering any shared space with your child. Take 3 deep breaths, drop your shoulders, soften your jaw, and set a clear intention to bring regulated energy into the interaction. Pathway 3. Break old reaction patterns. Every interaction between you and your child either strengthens existing patterns or creates space for new possibilities. In Buddhist practice, this reflects the principle of dependent origination, how causes and conditions create persistent patterns, and how changing those conditions can transform the patterns. Take Aisha's experience with her 8-year-old son. He had developed a pattern of explosive rage that could be triggered by the smallest request or transition. Traditional behavior management hadn't helped. The pattern seemed deeply embedded. Aisha discovered the power of pattern interruption. When her son began escalating, instead of matching his energy or trying to talk him down, she made a radical change. She became deliberately calm, slowing her breathing visibly, softening her voice, relaxing her posture. She also began working with her own relationship to anger. Using a simple meditation technique, she revisited moments from her childhood when anger was met with more anger, creating escalation patterns that were now being replicated with her son. She reimagined these scenes with the calm response she never received. Aisha also changed how she talked about her son's behavior, not just to others, but in her own mind. Instead of, "He's having another meltdown," she would tell herself, "He's having difficulty regulating his emotions right now." Instead of, "He's being defiant," she would reframe to, "He's communicating something he doesn't have words for yet." Within 6 weeks, the duration of her son's outbursts had decreased by half. By 3 months, the frequency had reduced dramatically. Most importantly, Aisha found that when outbursts did occur, she now had the capacity to stay calm herself, which created a completely different experience for both of them. Your action step: begin noticing the stories you tell about your child's challenging behaviors. Write down 3 common interpretations: then create alternative narratives that focus on underlying needs, neurological states, or developmental processes rather than character judgments or intentional defiance. Pathway 4. Find healing through helping others. There is profound healing in being of service to others. When we contribute positively to the world around us, something shifts in our sense of purpose and place. In Zen Buddhism, this aligns with the concept of dana, the practice of selfless giving that liberates us from our own suffering. Modern psychology confirms this wisdom, noting how helping others activates our brain's reward centers and reduces our focus on our own problems. For a perfect example of the service connection, look at David's story. His 11-year-old daughter had developed severe performance anxiety that was affecting everything from academics to friendships. She'd become paralyzed by perfectionism, experiencing panic attacks before tests or social gatherings. Instead of focusing directly on her anxiety, David introduced a completely different approach. He found opportunities for his daughter to help others in meaningful ways, not as a distraction from her anxiety, but as a transformative practice. They began volunteering at an animal shelter together, but with a crucial difference. David positioned his daughter as the expert, the one with unique gifts to offer. He would quietly notice and acknowledge specific strengths as she worked with the animals. "I notice how patient you are. That dog trusted you immediately." At home, he created regular opportunities for her to share her knowledge or abilities. He might ask her to teach him something she knew well, or request her help with a project that highlighted her strengths. Most importantly, David began a daily practice of sending positive thoughts toward his daughter before sleep. He would visualize her feeling confident, her path clearing of obstacles, her true gifts shining through. In traditional practices, this is similar to loving-kindness meditation, directing well wishes toward those we love. Within 2 months, her test anxiety had decreased significantly. Within 4 months, she had voluntarily joined a study group, something previously unthinkable. By 6 months, her teacher commented that she was raising her hand in class and taking on leadership roles in group projects. Your action step: create one opportunity this week for your child to meaningfully contribute their strengths or knowledge in a way that benefits others. Position them as the expert or leader rather than the helper. Afterward, specifically acknowledge the positive impact their contribution made. Pathway 5. Change your story about your child. The stories we tell shape reality. This isn't just poetic language, it's a fundamental truth recognized across spiritual traditions and increasingly supported by modern psychology. The narratives we create about our children don't just describe them, they actually help create who they become. As parents, we often unconsciously tell limiting stories that become self-fulfilling prophecies. Elena's story demonstrates the power of changing the narrative. Her teenage son had been labeled the troublemaker in the family. Years of challenging behavior had created a fixed story that was reinforced in countless daily interactions. Every family member had come to interpret his actions through this limiting lens. Elena began a systematic practice of changing this story. She caught herself whenever she used absolute language about her son, always, never, just is, and replaced it with developmental language, currently, in this situation, is learning to. She created fresh perspective by deliberately looking for evidence that contradicted her established narratives about her son. Each night, she would write down 3 observations that didn't fit the troublemaker story, no matter how small. Most powerfully, she began practicing future visualization. For 10 minutes each morning, she would vividly imagine positive future interactions with her son, feeling the emotions of these experiences as if they were already happening. Within 6 weeks, she noticed herself responding differently to her son, with less anticipatory tension. By 3 months, family members commented on the changed dynamic between them. At 6 months, her son's behavior at school had improved so dramatically that his teacher asked what had changed at home. Eleanor never directly told her son about this work. She simply revised the stories that were shaping their relationship. Your action step. Begin a pattern interruption practice. When you find yourself thinking a habitual thought about your child's challenges, stop and say to yourself, "That's an old story. I'm creating space for a new one." Then deliberately identify one piece of evidence that contradicts your established narrative. How to completely transform your parent-child relationship in 90 days. Imagine this. Your child who once avoided your gaze now meets your eyes with trust. Your teenager who slammed doors now sits at the table, sharing stories from their day. Your adult child who had grown distant reaches out with a message. This is not fantasy. This is the natural unfolding that happens when we transform ourselves. These 5 pathways form what Zen teachers have called the way of mindful parenting, a practice of transforming your child by first transforming yourself. As the ancient masters taught, when the water is clear, the moon reflects perfectly. When your mind becomes still, your child can see their true nature reflected in you. This journey begins with a simple vow, a 90-day practice period. In Zen Buddhism, this traditional time frame is called Ango, a period of deepened commitment when practitioners dedicate themselves fully to their spiritual development. It's considered long enough to truly transform habitual patterns, yet structured enough to maintain dedicated focus. This journey begins with a simple vow, a 90-day practice. This time frame is perfect, long enough to truly transform old habits, yet structured enough to keep you focused and committed. The practice is simple but profound. Each morning, take a few minutes for quiet sitting meditation. Find a comfortable position. Rest your hands gently in your lap, one hand cradled in the other. Breathe naturally and simply observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. Then visualize a golden light expanding from your heart center, enveloping both you and your child in boundless compassion. This is what Zen masters call boundless mind, where separation dissolves. Throughout your day, practice what the Buddha called right mindfulness, moments of complete attention to the present. When you notice tension rising, pause. Take one deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Bring yourself back to this moment. This isn't avoiding reality. It's actually experiencing it more fully. Before interacting with your child, especially during challenging moments, practice approaching them with fresh eyes. This is what Zen calls beginner's mind. Silently say to yourself, "In this moment, everything is new. I let go of old stories about how this will go." Bow slightly, even if only in your heart, acknowledging the Buddha nature within your child. Each evening, in the quiet moments before sleep, take a few minutes to write down 3 positive observations about your child that you noticed that day. Look for moments of kindness, creativity, strength, or joy, even tiny ones. Master Dogen taught, "What we focus on grows stronger. By witnessing goodness, we help it flourish." This simple practice helps you notice the good that might otherwise get overlooked. Before closing your eyes to sleep, practice a simple, loving-kindness meditation. Visualize your child surrounded by warm golden light. See them happy, free from struggles, living their best life. Imagine obstacles melting away and new opportunities opening before them. See them as they truly are at their core, naturally good and complete, beneath any temporary difficulties. The ancient texts remind us, the child is not separate from the parent, nor the parent from the child. They are like 2 branches from the same tree, nourished by the same roots. When you tend to your roots, the entire tree flourishes. Countless families have walked this path before you. A mother whose sons struggled with anger for years found that as she cultivated peace within herself through daily meditation, his outbursts gradually subsided. A father whose daughter had fallen into despair discovered that as he practiced seeing her inherent goodness through regular loving-kindness practice, she began to see it in herself. An elderly woman who hadn't spoken to her adult child in decades began this practice in solitude and received a letter of reconciliation during her practice period. These are not miracles. This is the natural harmony that emerges when we align with our true nature. If this approach resonates with you, I highly recommend the book, Parenting with Presence by Susan Stiffelman. It beautifully explores how your own inner work directly impacts your child's development and offers practical exercises very similar to what we've discussed. For those wanting to go deeper into the mindfulness aspects, Thich Nhat Hanh's Peace is Every Step provides simple but profound practices that can transform your parenting journey. Both books are linked in the description below. As Master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, the most precious gift you can give your child is your presence. Not perfect presence, not constant presence. Simply wholehearted presence, moment by moment, day by day. Picture yourself at the end of your 90-day practice. Feel the subtle but profound shift in your home's atmosphere. See the new light in your child's eyes. Experience the spaciousness that has opened between old triggers and new responses. This future is not distant. It awaits you at the end of this dedicated practice period. Remember the wisdom of the Zen proverb: before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The outer actions may look the same, but the inner transformation changes everything. Thank you for your commitment to this profound work. When you transform your own neural architecture, you aren't just changing your child's present experience, you're reshaping the future of generations to come.